Okay, these Kyrie Irving rumors. I did say this. If you look at Boston and Milwaukee and Golden State, the defensive commitment, the coaching, the size, the bench, there's a lot of things they have that Brooklyn's not going to have with KD and Kyrie. They could solve some of that with AD, size and defense. And I think in the East, because of Giannis and Embiid, you got to have a big. I mean, Miami's got Bam. They can at least defend it. You got to have a big in the East. I don't think you have to in the West. Phoenix may trade their big East. Dallas just got rid of their big. Golden State didn't have a big. So, what do you make of the Kyrie rumors? Lakers, Knicks, Clippers. Do any of those seem reasonable?
It sounds like you're proposing a Kyrie for AD deal.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yes, that is fair to say. What do you make of it?
Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure, and I've been told Anthony Davis isn't going anywhere, even for Kyrie, so I don't think this is happening. But I'm going to take your Kyrie for AD idea and go a step further. And I got to admit, my co-host on First Things First, Nick Wright, brought this idea up on our show. And I kind of liked it, Colin. I don't say that usually about Nick's ideas, but this one was one of his rare good ones. He said Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
All right, that's my problem for your problem on steroids. All right, I like it for both teams. I think if there's any star that has proven he can play with Westbrook and have great team success, even though they didn't win a championship, it's Durant because he doesn't need the ball. He knows how to play with Russ. Obviously, he'd have to sign off on a reunion, but obviously AD would be great in the East with KD too. So that's kind of a dream scenario. I don't think it'll happen. But I don't, there's no way if I'm the Lakers, I'm doing AD for Kyrie straight up.
Yeah.
So I think ideally, Colin, for the Nets, they got to figure it out. They got to find some type of compromise. Now, here it's really contentious that Kyrie's, upset with them and they're sticking to their guns of not giving him a long-term max deal. So maybe if they can find common ground on 3 years max money or 3 years max money with a lot of incentivized money on that. So I don't know if they can do it. But neither one has a lot of leverage. You mentioned the Nets, but Kyrie doesn't have any leverage either. The teams with cap room aren't good. Detroit, Orlando, San Antonio, Portland, Indiana. I doubt they want Kyrie, and I doubt he wants to go there. The Knicks could clear cap room if they want. And if I'm the Knicks, I like Kyrie Irving on my team. I need some excitement. I need a jolt. We're not going to be a championship team, but he and Julius Randle, he's exciting. Here's the rub. If I'm the Knicks, I'd want to give him the same type of contract as the Nets. 2-3 years, heavily incentivized based on how many games you play. I wouldn't give him 4 years max money if I'm the Knicks. So I don't think Kyrie has a ton of leverage. I don't think the Nets have a ton of leverage. So maybe they both can find common ground and compromise.
All right. So I said earlier today, who knows who the best 10 players are? We can argue. I said my wife's the most important person, in our household. That's an easy one. Best, what does that mean? And I said, here are my most important players in order. Bill Russell, the most championships. West was the logo and the most important executive, arguably ever, building the 80s Lakers dynasty. Kareem, the leading scorer. Dr. J gave it flair, first big shoe deal. Bird and Magic helped save the league. Michael made it global. LeBron made it mobile. Kobe is still 90 players in the league wore his shoe this year, and Steph Curry changed offense. Any of those, anybody you'd take out and anybody you'd put in on your list. Most important, not necessarily best, although many of these would be in the best list.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it, too, most important. I would take out, look, when you include what Jerry West did off the court, and obviously he's a fantastic player on the court, but off the court, you're right, as an executive and all that stuff, he's very important to the league. But just judging by players, playing careers, I would take off Jerry West and put on Wilt Chamberlain as far as most important. I mean, the statistical achievements that he had
Yeah.
were phenomenal. All right? So I'd put him on. And then I would add, who would I take off? I'm not sure, but, and this is maybe off the court too, but Spencer Haywood. Because remember, Spencer Haywood was the first player to go hardship.
Yeah.
And that led to players being able to go from high school to the NBA. So I just think, in terms of importance, not as a player, but as a figure in the NBA, a player who's a figure, I think he'd have to be on there. But I don't hate your list, but I had Steph Curry on my top 10 players list, like just best players.
Right.
And one of the things I looked at, Colin, when you're comparing eras, players at different positions, players with different skill sets, responsibilities, and roles on their team, it's hard to compare. So obviously statistics, obviously rings and other things. But I think impact on winning is how you can judge a lot of these guys who have different roles and skill sets. So with that, I had Steph on my top 10.
Yeah, that's where Wilt fell short for me, and Steph is so impactful to me.
Me too.
It's interesting. I was just talking about this with Joy. I watched the parade yesterday, and it validated so many things. It knighted Steve Kerr. It put Steph in that top 10, 12 players ever. Draymond's an absolute lock, proving you can do a podcast and win a championship. Klay Thompson is back officially. and I said, what breaks up dynasties is usually money and ego. I don't see either being a problem. Joe Lacob's going to pay everybody. It's not an ego-driven franchise like Kobe and Shaq. Around the league when you talk with people, I don't want to be recency bias guy. I don't know. I look at Kuminga, Wiseman, Moody. I look at how Klay bounced back. Are we looking at another dynasty for the next 4 or 5 years with the same franchise?
Well, I don't know if they can be a dynasty, but they have a chance. Let's put it that way. Obviously, Milwaukee's going to be tough with Giannis and have something to say about it. Next year, the West is going to be tougher because assuming the Clippers are healthy with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they're going to be right there, right? Denver's going to get healthy. Memphis is young and up and coming. Dallas with Luka, they made a recent trade that I like for Christian Wood. So they'll have some stiff competition. We'll see what the Lakers do. But, Colin, if anyone that says this Golden State Warriors team can't repeat just isn't paying attention. I'm sorry, because they should be better next year.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Klay should be better. Klay is fresh off this injury. His mind, he had to struggle with confidence issues just because you're coming back from such a long layoff. Defensively, he never really got back to being what he was. So I think he'll be better. Andrew Wiggins is going to be better.
Yeah.
All right, he may turn into maybe some type of perennial all-star because we know he's got top-tier talent. He doesn't have top-tier game, but he's got top-tier talent. So now having performed well on the big stage, he's in the perfect place for his perfect role for him and perfect place for his mentality because he doesn't want the responsibility of scoring 23 every night. So I think he'll be much better. I think Jordan Poole will be better. And then you mentioned all the young guys. James Wiseman, my goodness, if he can come back and play, 7 feet, athletic, can protect the rim, can run the floor, shoot it a little bit. Kuminga, Moses, yes, they have a chance. And that's where you talk about Steph really starting to move up these mythical rankings that we have. If they win another ring, Colin, how do you not put him ahead of Larry Bird? How do you not move him up past several other people? So, I think they do have a chance. And I'll throw this in. He's like Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan set the tone in San Antonio with his personality. Even though he wasn't an outspoken leader, Greg Popovich said it all the time. He allowed me to coach him. And letting me yell at him and coach him, that made everybody else sit in line. He set the tone and the culture for the franchise. Same thing with Steph Curry. He has set the tone and the culture of selflessness, egolessness for that franchise. Hard work. And you see guy after guy, Iguodala, Wiggins, go there, Leandro Barbosa. I could go back, Sean Livingston, guys who were struggling elsewhere. Go there, and all of a sudden they're playing the best basketball of their career. So Steph Curry even though he's not outspoken and Draymond is kind of the heart and soul with all that he does, Steph has set the culture for that franchise and this dynasty. And if they do become another dynasty, Colin, man, I don't know that we've seen that, right? Like two dynasties, one, and then you take a break, then you do it again. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah, Patriots did that a little bit longer break, though. Chris Broussard, first things first, Odd Couple with Rob Parker. Good seeing you, my friend.
All right, Colin.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.